Hi, Tony here for Lightwave Digital. So in this top tip we're going to be looking at the rotate tool, which is under the modify tab and then down to where rotate is. So when you're rotating the basic objects, it's always best to kind of rotate within the flat viewports. So when you're rotating and doing the basic rotates, if you just click on your object and drag right to left, it will rotate it clockwise, counterclockwise for you, just like so. And so it works the same in the different views based on which viewport you've got set up. So in the front view, like so, and always looking in your perspective view to see the rotation, like so. And that's the basics of just using the basics of the rotation tool. Now when I'm rotating and I'm dragging right to left, you can see the object rotating. If you want a smoother rotation, if you right mouse click, you'll notice that the rotation's a lot slower and a lot smoother. So if you want a smoother and slower rotation, that's your right mouse click. Now as well as that, if you wanted to rotate it in segments, if you look in the actual numerical panel at the bottom here, if you hold control down on your keyboard and then with your left mouse just click and drag, you'll notice in the bottom corner it's jumping up in 15-degree angles. So you can actually make it rotate in 15-degree angles if you wish, and you can do that in any viewport. Other options, while you're in that any viewport, if you press R on your keyboard, this will jump 90 degrees, so it'll let you rotate in any 90-degree viewport, like so. Okay, when you actually rotate it, you actually determine how it's going to rotate by deciding which one of these rotated options at the bottom, and there's 5 you're going to use. So I've got it on mouse. What mouse means is, and this is the one I use the most, wherever you click it rotates. So if I was to click here in the top view, it will rotate around that mouse click. Same in the other views. If I was to click on the top of the hat here, it will rotate around that click. For selections, if I was just say on the hat, or sorry, the head, and you click rotate, wherever you click, it rotates. So it don't matter where I click, it rotates around the center point of that selection, like so. Turn his head around. For the pivot point is where the pivot is set for each object. So for the head, if I go onto the layers tab and down to pivot, it will show you where that pivot is. So you can see it's at the center of our grid. That's where all pivots start from. You have to then move it into position. So if I was to rotate where the pivot is now, it's going to rotate around that pivot point. But if I was to go back into the layers tab onto move, and let's move it into the center, or roughly the center of the head, and then go back to rotate, it's going to rotate around wherever that pivot point center is. If you go to origins, that's basically without moving this. If you had all the pivot points moved but you still wanted them to rotate from this point, that's what it will do. It will rotate from the center of the grid for you. And lastly, local. What local does, it rotates each object from its center point in its original position. So as you can see, it's rotating them all in the position it's in. Also with the rotate tool, there's a numerical option. So at the bottom where we've got numerical here, or N on your keyboard. So what this will let you do, this will let you rotate the object numerical. So if I was to put in, say, 90, making sure it's 0 in the X, Y, and Z, and then just click apply, it'll rotate your object. So minus 90, we'll put it back. You've also got the texture option, which will let you choose texture or images to manipulate the rotate and how it would work. And then you've got the fall off. So the fall off in the lower half of your numerical, by changing the fall off settings, you can effectively make the function of the rotate manipulate the object or the elements that's based on the object, based on the fall off that you choose. And that's the basics of the rotate tool. Hopefully you've enjoyed this top tip. Please look out for the next top tip. For more details on Lightwave, head over to the website on www.lightwave3d.com. Thanks for listening.